Wipeout was a genre-defining game that came out for the PlayStation 1 around 1995, and not only was the gameplay just really good, but the soundtrack for it featured so many good techno, trance, jungle songs on it, especially from famous artists like Botech, Orbital, Chemical Brothers, and all sorts of others on there. Now, something that was unique around this time is electronic music was obviously getting very popular, and it started to make its way into a lot of video games, but synth-wise, we started to hear a lot of virtual analog synths come onto the market. And so a lot of the music in the Wipeout series kind of almost has that like big beat virtual analog sound to it, a lot of acid influences, and again, a lot of really fast-paced, trancey type techno. So I noticed a lot of songs on the various Wipeout OSTs, even the trancey techno ones were very high BPM wise. And it makes sense for a fast-paced game where you kind of want to be put in a trance. That music just has got to get you in the zone. So we went with a 152 BPM, more techno-based song here. Just being time period relevant as well, I did use all sample CDs for this just to make things easy, and I'll call all of those out as we go through. So the first thing we're working with here is a house drum loop here. And this one actually came out of a Ubershell sample CD called Techno Trance Essentials. This is actually from 2001, but it sounded good enough for what we're doing here. And this was essentially just one house loop here that was 1 bar long. And then I just went ahead, chopped it up, and made a few variations. It sounds like this. And here's one of the variations where I just moved one of the kicks around. And then we have another variation where I cut out a kick and just put a double kick at the end here to go into a new phrase. So from this one loop here, just your basic 4 on the floor techno house type beat, and we just chopped up this audio in Bitwig, created a few variations, and we just have that rolling throughout the song. Very basic. You could have taken one shots and programmed this out. I just wanted to keep things very simple for the sake of this song. Now, other percussive elements in here that I wanted to do was take a open hi-hat sound. This I took from ELAB XTC Files of Techno around 1997. Very simple, basic open hi-hat sound here. Again, just working with audio on this one. And for this one, I actually ran it through a phaser, bit of EQ on there to get rid of some of the low end, and then we're doing some sidechain compression on it. Now, what I was thinking a lot about here was just the essence of the setting for this game, very futuristic. And one way you can just spruce up a lot of these samples in your song is start using effects like flangers, phasers on percussive elements. You can get these like really nice industrial futuristic sounds just doing something like this, running things through a flanger. And so that's what we did there. Now, another thing I have here is this top loop from a Ubershell sample CD called Drum and Bass Flash Tracks from around 1998. I'm going to take all the processing off. It sounds like this. It's actually a drum loop here, but what I did is I took a lot of the low end out to try to remove that kick. Put on a little bit of a clipper there, a sidechain compression. It sounds like this. And then you layer it up right with the beat. Right, so more like industrial, futuristic sounding things to just layer up with that normal house beat. Now, another thing I took here is just a very simple ride cymbal from the Master Bits Techno Tracks sample CD. A little bit of an older one from '94. These guys made some great CDs. Very simple here, sounds like this. A little bit of sidechain compression on there all together. And you'll see if I zoom out here, right, these things, all these different elements aren't always playing together. In the arrangement, I'm bringing things in, dropping things out, and just mixing those things up within here. So it's about having different building blocks to where you can arrange out a track here. Now, if we do put all these together, just the drums, this is essentially what we end up with. that's what we get. So a lot you can do with the drums, little subtle things, using some, nice effects on drums is a good way to spruce things up. All right, next thing we have a bass here. This is also from the Ubershell Techno Trance Essentials sample pack here. And I just did a very basic techno trance bass here, where basically the bass note comes directly after the kick. So if you think the kick is on the 1, right, that bass thing comes on the 3, gives the kick enough time to finish playing. So you get this nice, just like push-pull sound, just like boom, 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 boom. So just on its own, sounds like this. But then if we bring in the kick, right, very classic techno trance-like bass line there. Just a nice driving bass line, which I think, again, for a game like this, if you're picturing that you're producing this track to be in a game, you really want to be in the zone. And so you have that constant steady bass to accompany that beat, and it just kind of sucks you in. So I think this is one of the nice driving bass line, one of the best ones you could use for a song like this. Now, sound-wise, we have this other sound here. This is also from the Ubershell Techno Trance Essentials sample pack. This is just an acid hit. I think I talked about it earlier in the video. I don't remember. I'll have to watch this later when I'm editing it. But acid sounds were used heavily throughout a lot of these Wipeout tracks. And so there are some different acidy sounds I have in here. The first one is this one. And this one we're just bringing in randomly throughout the song at the start of every bar. Oh yeah, brother. And then the next acid sound I have here, this one is from the ELAB Ecstasy Files of Techno as well. This one was another loop. It was a little longer than 1 bar. I just used repitched here, stretched it to fit within 1 bar here. And with this one, I actually put a low pass filter on it. And then I am modulating the filter cutoff here. You can see on the timeline. So kind of like a roller coaster, slowly opening, closing that filter cutoff with a good bit of resonance on there into a delay, a little bit of sidechain compression. Right, the sample itself, it sounds like the filter's pretty wide open there, so no problem. We can take our own filter here and then modulate it to open it up. I love acidy sounds where you have that low pass filter and it's just spanking open and being modulated throughout the song. Just really nice sound. And then you can layer it up with everything. And that's kind of it, folks. So wanted to give you some ideas, some inspiration here for how you could approach a song like this. So again, if you're doing more of the techno-y trance style type track, go for some of those older sample CDs. The ELAB Ecstasy Files of Techno CD, great sample CD for that. And then you're going to want to go for some of those more acidy type sounds, some of those virtual analog type sounds. And then just remember, right, the type of game that you're making this for, in theory, in your head. Nice, driving song, very consistent, kind of sucks that person in, lets them really focus on the game they're playing. Hope you guys found the video useful. Let me know down in the comments what you want to see next. Have a good one.